Radio. So, everyone, John Morant, on his way to becoming the face of the league, maybe the most spectacular athlete, alive, keeps getting himself in trouble, and it's like unforced errors. And after facing a short suspension for brandishing a gun in a club, he then winds up on his friend's Instagram Live, brandishing a gun in the car. Now, there have been reports that it was a toy gun. People said. So Adam Silver, NBA commissioner, was on the Dan Patrick Show and responded to that report. Listen.
I'm aware, of course, of these reports on social media about, whether the gun was in fact a gun. And so we haven't completely wrapped it up.
Does that matter, Commissioner, if that's a toy gun?
It's interesting. It's the very issue is for Ja, certainly in the first incident, was treating a gun as a toy. I mean, that's what we're talking about. And that's what I think the danger is to society, taking a gun, live streaming it, this is without getting into gun issues in terms of the propriety of owning guns and the use of guns. I think everyone agrees that gun safety is critically important and that guns aren't toys. So it's something that I'm thinking a lot about because, again, I'm not going to get into the specifics of the investigation, but in fact, if you are live streaming something that to the world looks exactly like a gun and in a frankly reckless manner, should it matter whether or not it's a real gun? I mean, I will say at the end of the day, in terms of doing my job, everything that's presented to us is relevant. Past conduct is relevant. The circumstances in which you're doing whatever the act is becomes relevant. And in this case, obviously we're going to take into account whatever's presented to us.
This just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, doesn't it?
First of all, why would he have a toy gun in the car?
Well, here's the thing. I've been dying to talk about this, but this was supposedly a rumor. And it wasn't until we heard Adam Silver yesterday that it almost solidified if the rumor was true or not about, his camp stating that it was a toy gun. It's like almost as if you ever been pressed as a kid, and you keep doubling down on the lie and just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And your parents are like, just tell the truth, man. Like, just let it be over.
Don't do it, kid. You're going to get in big trouble.
Like, that's what this reminds me of to a degree. Like, first off, if you had the first offense with the gun, you're telling me that you would carry a toy gun on yourself? You're carrying a toy gun around?
But is he saying that, or is that just going around on social media? I don't want to blame him for something that other people are saying.
So, Jay, let's just
But obviously, Adam's smart enough. I don't know if Adam would even talk about the subject if it didn't have any merit. Like, because if it didn't have any merit, Adam would just say, hey, well, that was a rumor. That's not actually true.
Like, we haven't touched it on this show because at a certain point it's just rumor and speculation. But now the commissioner is addressing it. Yeah.
So that obviously has to make it concrete. Does it not? Because he wouldn't even talk about it if it weren't true.
Jay, does it really in the end really matter if it was a toy gun or not? Does it really matter in the end? Right? Doesn't matter.
No.
And the reason it doesn't matter to me is because past behavior, real gun, not real gun, whatever the case may be, you are essentially making a mockery of the situation.
Yep.
That's my problem with Ja in the situation, is that now you're making a mockery of it. Now let's just assume it is a toy gun. You're still making a mockery of it. Like, come on.
Look real. Yeah.
Come on. It could have been one of those plastic red ones.
No, that would have been okay because then.
No, hold on, Max. It wouldn't have been okay.
Why?
Because you're making a mockery of the situation that you've already gotten yourself in.
That's
Even
one
if
way
it was
to
one of those
interpret
red ones with the little green dot on the end that we used to run around with as kids.
Yep.
You're making a mockery and poking fun at gun situations when your ass is in deep water.
Well, but that's one way to interpret it. But I could also say if it was obviously a toy gun, maybe he's making fun of himself. That would be.
You shouldn't even be making fun of yourself in that situation.
that's everyone could have an opinion about that. I might think, like he's poking fun at himself. That's different. But a gun that looks that real is the question philosophically that the commissioner's wrestling with in his own mind. Obviously, is does it matter if it's real or not? Because what happened, what he's being punished for, is the image of it. Right? So although I suppose there is a safety issue of having it in the car, and so like maybe it does make some small difference, but it still sounds like trouble.
I understand what the commission's saying and all that sort of stuff. I'm more concerned with Ja's behavior. Yeah, that's my problem. Is Ja is bringing this on himself, toy or no toy. You're almost like self-destructing and creating issues for yourself by even doing it, by even playing around with it and doing it, man.
Well,
it's just you don't even need to do that.
Key, that's the most alarming aspect of this, though, right? It's like, when people ask me, well, Jay, have you gotten back on a motorcycle? I'm like, no, why? Like, why would I get back? Like, it was a freak accident. The thing slipped into second gear. Why would I jeopardize I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm not comparing the two because they're different scenarios, but it's the processing and decision making, especially from a guard who's supposed to see things and recognize, okay, time and place and use judgment constantly. Now you're telling me there's a lack of judgment here after your first situation, regardless of whether it was a toy gun or not.
That's the whole point. Like a kid.
Why even put yourself in that position?
Let's examine both of those.
Like a kid walking over to the hot stove and touching it and then going, okay, I'm going to go touch it again, even though you just burned yourself.
Yeah, because apparently the stove wasn't hot enough the first time, right? You got off with a light punishment. So you both bring up very interesting points. On the one hand, Key, you're talking about unforced errors and self-destructive behavior. And to me, that reads to me like a cry for help. If you're getting yourself in trouble like that, it's almost like you're sending a message, so I need help, I can't get myself out of a certain situation. Or else, why would you broadcast this kind of stuff? And Jay, you're bringing up judgment, like, and I've brought this up in the past, like his judgment is impaired somehow, right? Like he's showing poor judgment consistently. And those things might not be the same thing. Like it may be one or the other. Either he's continually exercising very bad judgment publicly for some reason, or he really wants help.
And another point I would like to add to this whole equation, by the way, is I've known Adam Silver for a very long time. I've seen Adam go to crazy degrees to protect players. He is pro player, very different than David Stern, a lot more lenient. So, one of the first questions we asked when this conversation came up during the NBA Finals, and he answered the question, in order for Adam Silver to address the question, it has to have significance. It has to get to a point where it's like, how many conversations can I have with the individual or his camp before I have to say, I can't protect you anymore. I've done all I can do. And that's what it feels like Adam Silver and the NBA are at that juncture.
Other players must be sitting there too, like, damn. Like if you have a lenient parent, let's say, and they're like, okay, I'm going to trust you, I'm going to give you this, and you have a sibling who's messing up, you're like, come on, man. They're like, what are you doing? You're making it bad
and that's what I'm saying, though. I'm right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm like, come on, man, seriously.
Why are you doing that? We got it good. Stop.
High voltage, do not touch.
Yeah.
Let me walk over there and touch. Like, come on.
Because at a certain point, what other players I'm sure would not like is if Adam Silver had to change his sort of managerial style because it's working it's not working well with certain players, or in this case, Ja Morant.
Key, you and I, look, we've had camps, man. Like, you're a PR guy, you're an agent, you're an accountant. You got this whole team around you. What the hell, Key, and people in the right mind made them collectively come together, if this is the case, and say, let's say it was a toy gun. Let's say it was a toy gun. Maybe that'll help the NBA be more lenient. Like that,
if in fact it came from them.
That's what I said. If it did come from, that would make it worse. Like, how about we just let it dissipate and let the natural media coverage go in a lot of different directions, and then see if we can minimize as much coverage of this as possible.
Yeah, it's almost like the toy gun was a trial balloon. See, hey, will this work?
Yeah. At the end of the day, Max and Jay, I watch all these shows. They'll zoom in on it. They'll get some forensic guy. They're going to zoom in, still shot of the video. They're going to zoom in and bring in a gun expert. He's going to be able to look at the whole thing and determine whether or not it's a toy gun versus they'll go back and say this is model 368 that was for real.
That couldn't be plastic because see the way the light's coming off the high res shot.
Yeah. All that. Yep. There's the curve that no gun was ever made in that year with the curve on the back end.
Set yourself up.
Boy, those forensic shows stayed on this news TV.
I watch them.